We're always asked why Spring Mountain, why this area, why these soils, and the general answer is because I think it's the right place to be. The more specific answer is a little bit more difficult. We have good east-facing slopes. We have good rainfall. The soils are extremely good vineyard soils. The history of the property goes back to the 1880s when it was all in vineyards, and there was a row of olive trees just off camera that was planted at that time, so they're about 130 years old. The vineyard was abandoned, as pretty much everything on Spring Mountain was abandoned because of phylloxera around the turn of the 20th century. And when I first walked the property in the fall of 1970, this is a very dense impenetrable forest. Now there were grape stakes throughout all of the forest, but it was as much poison oak and Douglas fir and oaks and madrones as anything else. As a matter of fact, we had to get a commercial logging permit to reclaim the forest. You can't make good wine from bad quality grapes. You have to have the best grapes. And in my opinion then is now, the best grapes come from the mountains. Bacchus loves the hills. Old saying. And I think if you look at why we're here on Spring Mountain and why we're here in Napa Valley, it's because Napa Valley had the reputation for making the best wines in California, and Spring Mountain has the reputation for making the best wines in the Napa Valley, and so I didn't want to go anywhere else. But viticulture is very important up here. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and there's been a lot of changes in viticulture in the 40 years, as there has been in the winery. We constantly are changing and challenging conventional thought and wisdom. But the idea of sustainable farming is farming in a manner in which you can, commercially, economically farm a ranch for hundreds of years. Our goal is that eventually we hope, and we're pretty close, to where no water will run off our property, ever, except in a natural creek or drainage system. The wines are historically unfined and unfiltered, and I like big, briery, balanced wines that have some tannin, good acidity for longevity, and that gives a brightness to the wine, and we feel that that's very important. We think Europe as a place has a lot to offer as far as foundation, as I mentioned earlier, and I do not particularly am appreciative of the new low, no acid, flat, flabby, boring, kinds of wine out there. Winemaking has changed dramatically. Grape growing has changed dramatically. Ownership has changed, and I'm not sure really where that's going to take us. We have a great deal of corporate owners now. And in the old days, if you were the owner of a large winery, your first love was obviously to your own business, but you also took into the health and welfare and prosperity of the valley itself. Now, if you're a corporate owner, your first obligation and only obligation is to your shareholders.